This is crazy, man. This is freaking crazy. What's up, everybody? Fred Richani, TSC, back on the TSC Wrestling channel, back live, streaming for the first time in a while. Lil Rusty, wasn't expecting to go live tonight. I thought Elimination Chamber would be a by-the-number show, some pretty good matches, and that'd be that, right? And we'd get our WrestleMania title matches, our WrestleMania main events for night 1, night 2, possibly. But instead, we got something a lot more shocking. A few things a lot more freaking shocking. First and foremost, we had Jade Cargill returning, attacking Naomi, presumably assuming that Naomi is the attacker. Later in the show, we had Randy Orton attacking Kevin Owens, and he almost punted him straight to hell, but hey, it did not happen. WWE officials stopped him. But in the most shocking, surprising moment of the night and of wrestling in the last decade or so at the very least. Wow. We had John Cena win the Elimination Chamber. Rollins, Punk, Cena were the final two. And then, well, final three. Rollins got eliminated. And then Rollins, in a fit of anger, attacked CM Punk, hit him with the curb stomp. Cena immediately took advantage, locked in the STF, and Punk had no choice but to pass out, which meant that he is no longer eligible in the running, once again, all these years later, for the main event of WrestleMania. And John Cena is your winner. And it seemed a little weird. It seemed a little heelish, right? And afterwards, The Rock and Cody Rhodes came out. Cody Rhodes told Rock to go F himself, and no, it was not censored by WWE. And then John Cena was cheering him on, gave him a hug, and then you saw Cena stare at The Rock just like nodding, acknowledging him. And people were like, no way. No way. John Cena of all freaking people. And what happens? John Cena lifts up Cody Rhodes for the attitude adjustment, hits the attitude adjustment, takes him down, beats him down, takes brass knuckles, bloodies up Cody Rhodes, hits him with the World Championship belt, and then Rock joins in, whips Cody Rhodes. Even Travis Scott joined in. I can't believe this. So after all these years, literally one of the first published pieces of work I've ever done in wrestling media was when I submitted a guest editorial to Pro Wrestling Torch, pwtorch.com. Shout out to Wade Keller for publishing me back in the day. And I wrote an article that said, John Cena needs to turn heel ASAP. And this was, I think, back in 2008 when John Cena spray painted the word poopy on JBL's limo. Now, in retrospect, it was a good idea for John Cena not to turn heel all those years because he was a merchandise machine. Although, honestly, he probably could have used the heel turn at some point, and he would have probably come back an even bigger star, similar to Roman Reigns right now when he decided to become the tribal chief, and now he's like the top babyface in the company, besides Cody. But oh my goodness, you know, there's a lot I can say about WWE outside of the ring, and we could thoroughly talk about that. But in terms of like the product right now, this was a bold move by John Cena, because this is not just John Cena in the twilight of his career turning heel, right? This is not just John Cena, you know what I mean, at his old age, old age for wrestling standards, turning heel. This is John Cena turning heel when he's already pretty much full-blown Hollywood, and in his retirement tour. His freaking retirement tour. Which is wild. Wild. And you know what? I gotta say, Dwayne Johnson, if this was his idea, shout out to him. Because it seemed very random that The Rock would just come back, unannounced, do his thing, insert himself again. Last year, it fit perfectly. It worked out at the end. But this year, I was like, this really, where does he fit right now? I know he's a huge star, but where does he fit? And, man, they did a hell of a job. And shout out to my boy, Tarek Alwad. I thought I'd never see a day. Me either. This is insane. And it's funny because we've seen John Cena be a great heel. Like, I remember 2002. I'm a little old. I remember 2003, 2004. He was an awesome heel. He really was. And he's been phenomenal in Peacemaker, where he's essentially a bad guy / anti-hero. He is a great a-hole. He's very witty. He's got great facial expressions. I mean, listen, he's one of the all-time greats. But for him to take this risk, and it's kind of a risk, at this stage of his career, you know, I mean, look, he'll be fine. He's John Cena. You know, fans will cheer for him a year from now. But wow, that to me is like, and now he's like a big creative risk that I'm impressed that they took. But I'm also impressed by the fact that John Cena and Rock essentially said, you know what? We love this Cody Rhodes guy. He's the guy. Let's cement him as the guy. This cements Cody Rhodes as the guy. I mean, he was already sort of cemented the last year. I mean, he's been a top draw. He's one of the biggest stars in WWE history. I know people say, well, what? He's only been on top for a year or two, but so what? Steve Austin was only technically on top for a few years. And look, Cody Rhodes is the top guy, other than Roman Reigns, in the boom period. If you want to call those guys the Rock and Austin of this era in terms of drawing power and star power and how they've both helped elevate the company, along with, you know, a great deal of stars. It's not just them, but those are like the top two faces on the male side. Like, wow. This cements it. This is like a legacy match. It was already going to be a legacy match between the old guard and the new guard, but now they just up the ante. Like, wow. And here's the other thing that intrigues me, right? Roman Reigns was nowhere to be found on this show. Nowhere to be found. Paul Heyman, unless I missed it, in the myriad of commercials and advertisements and shout-outs and Pat McAfee making an ass out of himself. Like, I didn't see Roman Reigns on this show. I didn't see Paul Heyman on this show. And if you remember back at Survivor Series, CM Punk joined forces with the Bloodline to beat the other Bloodline, and he was promised a favor. So what is that favor? Is that favor to be inserted into the main event of WrestleMania somehow? That could be possible. I mean, personally, I think Jey Uso versus Gunther, with the way they've built it up at this point, is a perfectly fine WrestleMania main event. Although I understand why people would say, like, oh, it's repetitive, and while we love Jey, it's like we've seen the match before. But I'm wondering if they decide to do this, maybe CM Punk inserts himself in the matchup with Gunther and Jey Uso. Maybe Seth Rollins somehow, some way gets involved. I don't know. It's very interesting here. I would personally do a one-on-one match between Seth and Roman. They've only wrestled each other a handful of times, and I think my boy Gerard on Through the Table's IG page, he mentioned that I think Roman Reigns and Seth have only had 4 matches that have had somewhat of a clean finish. So a one-on-one match would actually be kind of novel. They haven't wrestled one-on-one in a while. And I wouldn't mind CM Punk being inserted into the Gunther and Jey Uso match, with the promise that if Paul Heyman does him this favor, he gives a title shot to Roman Reigns after WrestleMania. Which, granted, I wouldn't have Jey Uso lose, but you could put Punk in there. That being said, Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber, and I mean, I'm sorry, I'd like to see Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley main event WrestleMania Night 1. I really would, and I think those two deserve it, but that's just me. So, oh my goodness, crazy stuff here. Let's get to the rest of the show. Let me catch my breath here, because holy crap, this is nuts. This is nuts. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely wild. John Cena, oof, crazy, man. Crazy. And for those watching on YouTube, yes, I do have the old school TSC News setup. And yes, we are streaming from the TSC Wrestling channel. Been thinking long and hard about it, and I was like, you know what? It might be time to start shifting some of this wrestling stuff to another channel, because I have a lot of NFL stuff on my main channel, a lot of MMA stuff, but not everybody's a wrestling fan, unfortunately. So we're going to try it here. We'll see how it goes. But let's get to the matches, okay? So we had Bianca Belair defeat Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Liv Morgan, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez in the Women's Elimination Chamber match to earn a title shot against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 41. Order of elimination. Oh my goodness. Jade Cargill returned looking like $1 million. I mean, I don't know how many people, you know, wear that outfit when they're ready to whoop some ass, but I mean, she whooped some serious ass. And man, and she looked great, by the way. I'm just saying, it's like her and Randy Orton were like in the no pants party. They're like, no, why would we wear pants? We're coming back to kick ass here and get revenge. So Jade Cargill destroyed Naomi. This was amazing. This was like the Jade Cargill culmination of like intensity. Like all these years you see her at AEW and she's got flashes and she obviously has star presence, and we'll see how it goes when she actually wrestles a match with Naomi. But she looked unfreaking believable here, destroyed Naomi. smashed her against the chamber pods, slammed the chamber door against Naomi's head, just destroyed this poor girl. But the announcers were quick to mention, hey, I guess Jade thinks that this is her attacker. Thinks. Or you know what I mean? Like, they didn't say Naomi is definitely the attacker. But if Naomi is the attacker, this does seem like a weird kind of deal, because essentially Jade killed her. Like, Naomi was stretchered out, unable to compete, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, what the freaking hell? So I don't know. I don't know what happens from here. Obviously, they'll have a match at some point, probably WrestleMania. It'll be kind of cool to see Naomi get a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, but yeah, I feel like there's got to be some type of swerve coming, right? There has to be. This is like she came back, she just killed Naomi, and that's it. Like, that's that. Where, like, shouldn't it be built up? But it was great. It was a great beatdown. And Bianca Belair, amazing actress. We always talk about Rhea Ripley, and people talk about Alexa Bliss being a great actress, but Naomi is great. But Bianca Belair, her facial expressions are amazing. She's got a bright future in showbiz. She's a generational talent. Honestly, I know she's relatively well pushed in WWE throughout her career, but she's been mostly stuck in tag teams. Not that she hasn't done a great job as a tag team champion, but I mean, really, like, you want to talk, like, maybe not in terms of star power, but just in terms of impact on their respective division on the women. I really feel like Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair are like interchange them how you want, or like Rock and Austin generational level talents on the women's side. They really are. They're amazing. They really are. And Bianca deserves just as much love, just as much respect as Rhea Ripley, and I'm excited that we're finally going to get that match. So anyway, order of elimination: Naomi unable to compete due to destruction via Jade. Bayley Liv Morgan beat Bayley, excuse me. I was a little disappointed to see Bayley lose that early. Alexa Bliss beat Roxanne Perez. I don't know. I would have kept Roxanne in there a little bit longer, but she's still very young. She's got time. Liv Morgan beat Alexa Bliss, and Bianca Belair beat Liv Morgan. And this was a fantastic match. I actually think this match was better than the men's match for sure. Although the men's match was a great setup for how the night ended. We also had Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus team up to beat Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Decent match. It was great to see Trish. She's ageless. She's amazing. It's just great to see her be treated like the legend she is, and hopefully they'll bring back Lita sometimes, because I think Lita deserves a little love too, especially how she was treated back in the day. But this was a really nice homecoming for Trish. Tiffany Stratton as a babyface, I know she gets cheers, but she gets cheers because she's Tiffany Stratton, the heel. I'm not really feeling Tiffany Stratton, the babyface. I don't really like her promos lately. This feud with Charlotte is pretty terrible. And look, Charlotte's all-time great and everything. Her legacy's cemented. But there was some weird statistic that I saw that was like she's only gone like a couple months throughout her entire career without holding a title or challenging for a title. It's getting a little ridiculous here. I think Charlotte would have been better off with a strong non-title feud. If they didn't do this Jade Cargill attacker angle, I really think that like a Charlotte Jade Cargill match could have been pretty good. You know, make it no DQ. Have some weapons in there, or at least out on a brawl all over the place. But I really think badass strong woman versus a badass strong woman match would have been awesome between the two. I mean, it could still happen down the road, but I think that would have been a fun match for Charlotte's return. That's just me. And we had Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Fantastic match, unsanctioned match. This went about 27 minutes, 35 seconds. And Kevin Owens beats him after multiple pop-up power bombs, using all kinds of weapons like a barbed wire steel chair, power bombed him on the apron. And afterwards, we had Randy Orton come out in his full gear, no pants party. And he went to attack KO, hit the RKO, was going to go for a punt, but was prevented by security. So Randy just destroyed everybody who was at security. So there's that. And he did his pose because he's Randy Orton. Of course he does. And then we had the main event, which was definitely not a lame event. John Cena defeated CM Punk, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and Seth freaking Rollins to retain the undisputed WWE Championship. Man, this was a pretty good match as well. I still think the women's match was a bit better, but really good stuff there. Really good stuff. Can't complain. It served its purpose. It set up a lot of things. Thank God Logan Paul didn't win. Good Lord. Well, I think Logan Paul's got more important things to worry about anyway, like, an upcoming lawsuit he's got with my homie, Miss Man Khalif. So there's that. And the order of elimination was Damian Priest beat Drew McIntyre. That's right, Damian Priest. So once again, Damian Priest being a thorn in the side of Drew. And before we had kind of like like some reports about how Drew's pissed off. He doesn't think Damian Priest is a big enough star, and blah blah. And I don't know if there's any truth to that, or if it's just WWE leaking stuff to the websites to get some clicks and whatever else. But it looks to be Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. And honestly, from a storyline perspective, it really makes a lot of sense because Damian Priest has pinned Drew McIntyre multiple times. He beat him in Money in the Bank. He beat him in Money in the Bank. He beat Drew at WrestleMania, of course. And then he beat Drew at Clash of the Castle. Granted, there was a lot of help, right? WrestleMania, he had the help of CM Punk, and McIntyre was already worn down from a match with Seth Rollins. You had Money in the Bank was more of a fair fight because Damian Priest was in the match, Drew McIntyre was in the match, whatever. But still, he had help from CM Punk. And the last time he had help from CM Punk. So I guess this will finally be the opportunity for Mr. Drew McIntyre to beat Damian Priest. Should be a good match. I get it. Drew McIntyre fans want a bigger match. They want him in the world title picture. He's still pretty relevant. I think this is the problem, and it's a good problem to have. But this is a problem like WWE had in the 2000s. You have so many great wrestlers, so many big stars. It's hard to know where to fit them. I mean, think about it. You got Jey Uso, Gunther, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, obviously John Cena, Cody Rhodes. I don't like him, but Logan Paul. Squeeze him in there. And you throw in the women's division, which is stacked with Rhea, Bianca, Tiffany, Charlotte, Bayley. If Becky Lynch comes back, the list goes on and on. All the women waiting in NXT. Roxanne's practically get called up. You got Julia, you got Stephanie Vicaire. It's a stacked division. But Jordan Grace coming in the mix as well. Nia Jax, and obviously, Liv Morgan as well, and Raquel are doing a good job with the Judgment Day, although that group seems to be ending soon. Naomi, Alexa Bliss. They have a stacked roster. You can make the argument, maybe you can make the argument like, okay, AEW has better in-ring wrestlers, bell to bell from like a technical standpoint. And you might be right. I mean, any promotion that has Kenny Omega is doing pretty well. But in terms of just pure star power, it's insane right now. This is definitely the most stacked they've been since the Attitude Era. And yes, I was alive during the Attitude Era, so I can attest to that. But really good stuff here. So afterwards, as I mentioned, Cody Rhodes came out to congratulate John Cena. Rock came out with Travis Scott. And The Rock asked Cody Rhodes, well, what do you want to do? And Cody said, I lost my soul a long time ago. I gave it to in this ring. I left it in this ring. I gave it to these people. Rock, go yourself. And they did not bleep it. And I know some AEW fans will say, well, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage did it first a couple years ago. And they did. It's true. But, man, this was perfect. Perfect. And everybody was like, oh, my God. Did he really say that? It was amazing. Because I was thinking like a talking segment to close out the Elimination Chamber. Like, come on now. But this was great. And then John Cena celebrated with Cody, gave him a hug. And they looked in the camera, looked at Dwayne. Camera caught it. And he just beat the crap out of Cody. And Rock beat the crap out of Cody. And Rock and Cena, who were once bitter rivals in real life and in ring, and Travis Scott, beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes, bloodying him up. And just like that, you have an absolutely money angle, money main event feud heading into WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Man, seriously, I wish Dusty Rhodes was still alive to see the superstar his son has become, because this is incredible. Like, take a bow. Great work from all involved. Travis Scott, you were there too. You could take a bow, I guess. The only real complaints I had about this show, for the most part, were a few things. Well, one, I think there could have been at least one more match. They buffered a lot of this show with advertisements and coming back to Perth and this and that and whatever else, and it was just kind of exhausting. So I got really tired of that. There was that. Then, Pat McAfee. Listen, I already found him kind of overbearing and a bit of a blowhard, but I understand he's got an audience, and look, respect to him. He's built his media empire, all that jazz. But my gosh, like, dude, keep your political views or whatever yourself. The fans booed the national anthem tonight in Toronto at the Rogers Centre. Keep in mind, they're in Canada. They're under no obligation to respect everybody's national anthem. On top of that, like, there's obvious politics involved, okay? Like, Trump is talking about illegally occupying / annexing their whole country. So, of course, they're going to boo. There's that whole issue with tariffs. So, of course, they're going to boo. It's been happening in hockey and basketball and everywhere. It's been a thing. And WWE was tone deaf and allowed them to do the national anthem and get booed, which was not a good look for WWE's part. And Pat McAfee the whole time complaining and saying, like, oh, like, how dare you boo the national anthem and we're America. Like, shut up, dude. This isn't 2004 WWE anymore. Like, enough already, okay? If you want to throw it back for, MAGA or whatever, do it at your own time. We know WWE's MAGA, okay? We know that WWE gets on its knees for Trump and puckers up. We know. I've seen the pics of Triple H and Mar-a-Lago. We know, okay? The one thing I will give WWE some props is that, like, at least on their broadcasts, they don't shove it in your face. Now, whether or not people want to still watch their broadcast because of their political affiliations is another story, and whatever, it's your prerogative to do either or. But when you're watching the show, like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Enough. Once, okay. You want to do it once as like a viral moment, they would be kept like bringing it up, unprovoked, unprompted, to the point where it's taking away from the match. I don't care if you're bringing up fans booing the national anthem, if you're bringing up your bunions, whatever the case may be, your side chick, all right, shut up. Nobody wants to hear it, especially during a wrestling match. Your job is to enhance the product and enhance what's going on in and out of the ring. Not this. Not this. And I think he was like complaining during like the Trish Stratus match, and it's like, shut up, dude. Like, a legend's in the ring. All right. Again, props to him. He's got his media empire. He's had some pretty good matches for a guy who hasn't had a lot of matches. Obviously, he was a great punter back in his day, but just enough is enough. Like, just way too much of a blowhard. Made it way too much about him. And yeah, we don't need that. Don't stop. Somebody should have reeled him in and just been like, dude, okay, we get it. Okay, you want to bootlick? Go for it. Anyway. And keep in mind, too, like, WWE's audience is very different from UFC's. I feel like, not that UFC doesn't have a lot of diverse fans and everything else, but UFC is very much hardcore in one political side. And they're like, hey, take it or leave it. Whereas WWE tries to cast a much wider net. And so, yeah, bad look for Pat McAfee and WWE there. So please don't do that again. But overall, I got to say, thumbs up show. The only other complaint, as I mentioned, please, like, add like 1 or 2 more matches to these PLEs. Either TKO's being cheap, which it might be, or they just feel like, oh, well, we have enough and we could save the rest for Raw and SmackDown. Like, you have a stacked roster. Like, there's no reason why Jey Uso and Gunther couldn't have competed in a tag match. There's no reason Braun Breaker couldn't have had even a squash match for the IC title here. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff you could do. Lyra Valkyria, Chelsea Green, something. I don't know. I was not feeling that. I'm a traditionalist. I like my pay-per-views to have like 6 to 8 matches. I'm not saying they have to drag on. Obviously, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, they have matches that go on for a long time, like an hour each. Like, I get that. But in general, I'd really like to see them go back to like 7 to 8 matches. But we'll see what happens. And we'll certainly see what happens at WrestleMania. Let's go to some more questions here before we hop off. Who do you think wins at WrestleMania, John Cena or Cody Rhodes? Ooh, man. Would they be willing to end with a heel John Cena winning the title? I would say it really depends on John Cena's schedule, because same thing as The Rock back in the day and still current day, right? If he's busy, if he's filming Peacemaker, if he's filming a movie or 2 or 3, if he's hosting a show, it's probably going to be tough. Now, could he be like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar of the past and just hold the title and not defend it regularly? Yeah, he can, but I think we're almost kind of past that point. You mean fans got used to a Roman. They sort of begrudgingly got used to a Lesnar. I think we're in the era right now where even if you don't have a title match in every pay-per-view, you want to see the world champion at least semi-regularly, and you see Cody Rhodes more often than not. So I'd probably say no. I think it should stay with Cody Rhodes. And then as far as who gets it after that, I don't know. There's a lot of money on the table here. There's a lot of things they could set up. I mean, they could still set up Punk versus Cody for down the road. You still have Seth versus Cody. I know there's different brands, but they can always switch it up, right? Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes at 3. That'd be pretty big. Jacob Fatu. You know, they did the solo thing already. I don't need to see the solo thing, but Jacob Fatu as a guy who maybe the night after WrestleMania or the SmackDown after WrestleMania is endorsed by Dwayne Johnson. I can see it. Or hell, maybe they'll finally do Dwayne versus Cody. I don't think it necessarily needs a title, but you could finally do Dwayne versus Cody, considering Dwayne did pin Cody last year at WrestleMania, only for them not to do a match the next year. So we shall see. But I want to hear from you. What did you think about Elimination Chamber? What do you think about WrestleMania coming up? What do you think about the upcoming Roadblock PLE from NXT, which features WWE versus TNA? Let me know. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this update. Like, share, take care. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the matches and heal up Cody Rhodes and Naomi. Good Lord. Ugh.